specializes in helping women find their authentic self and step into the softest life ever. Um, I do that through coaching, but I started it as an expat coach where I was helping people move abroad and find the life that they wanted to live anywhere in the world. And then what I really discovered was that my life was what I call the life of vacay. And people were asking me about like how do you live the way that you live? How are you able to travel like you travel? And I realized that my life had become very soft where I had a lot of peace and energy and all the things. And it just kind of developed and I started a podcast and started talking about it. But then I also moved to my I moved to Malaysia at the time and I was sick and so I had to like reinvent myself and in the process I was also helping other people find the life that they wanted to live. And so it kept just getting softer. Um and so I love that because soft doesn't mean it doesn't always mean easy. And I we can talk about that. But how can people find me? Everything, my website is chajones.com. I'm really on Substack now. That's my social media of choice, which is thechajones.substack.com. And on Facebook, you can find me under Cha Jones, Instagram, Cha Jones, TikTok, the Cha Jones. Yeah,
Perfect. So, your favorite place to visit and why?
the favorite place to visit. Um, I guess of all the places that I have been, my favorite place thus far has been Hong Kong.
Mm.
And why? Because the food is amazing. And I'm a tourist and I love food.
So you're a foodie.
I'm a foodie, so yes.
Oh, no, a traveler and a foodie. So you probably go to all these different places and try all these different foods.
So I'm very particular. However, when I like good food, I like good food. I love it actually. And so traveling allows you to go and then see and do and experience. And so yes, if I find good food, but I'm one of them people like for instance, I was in Colombia and I went and I found this restaurant which was like hidden little treasure. And I was like, listen, we can come here every day. I don't have to experience no other restaurant. I just want to come here every day because the food was so good.
I remember when I went to Bali and I found this because I don't eat red or white meat, so I only eat seafood and vegetables. And there was this one restaurant where it served this lovely seafood dish. And if I could go there 10 times a day for the 2 weeks I was there because $1 Canadian was $10,000 there. I was a millionaire and I would eat and eat and eat. So I totally understand trying new food and definitely falling in love with one of them when you're out there. You mentioned softness. How did you get involved in the transformation piece, softness, and helping others with that?
How did I get into the transformation? So I would say that my life has been a journey of transformation. So I think it just became natural. Early on, I started off as a life coach, and I just kind of felt like, what does that really mean? Like you're a life coach, you're helping people like with life things, and you have to find your niche, right? And so at the time, my niche was expats because I was a consultant for a relocation company. I started a consultancy company, and I was working with Fortune 500 companies that were sending people abroad, and it kind of just jailed because I had a master's degree in intercultural communications. I had lived abroad, and then I was working with these companies. Then COVID happened, and everything shifted. I became a mother. Then every no one was traveling, so I couldn't really send anybody as an expat anywhere. And I was then living back abroad in Mexico. And one of the things I realized is that I have always helped people through transition and transformation. And so I think it just came to me. And then what I realized is that, you teach what you experience. And when you start experiencing more transformation, then that's like, it's just I don't know, I think it's a good segue into what you are becoming and then what you are also doing. And so that's kind of how I got into transformation per se.
It's like what you went through, you begin to see the early stages of it in other people, and you're like, I can help you with that. I can make sure you're on the right path. When you mentioned some of the things that you went through and how you're assisting other people, do you see yourself in some of the people that you work with?
Oh, absolutely. I think people mirror you. Like when you meet people and you like, so you can look at the mirror and be like, I don't like that about, but it's the thing that you don't like about yourself. Or I love that about you because that's the thing you love about yourself. And that's what mirrors do. And so, yes, I find that I end up attracting the people, whatever experience I've gone through, I end up attracting people who need to go through that. So it's like I learned that lesson so that I can then teach the other people who are showing up and they start showing up. And I'm like, oh my God, I just went through this. Or, oh my God, like I know that I can help you with this because I know exactly what you're going through and I can assist you with that.
It's like when you see someone, let's say they've gone through like a bad breakup, and you begin to hear their story, and you look to your left, you look to your right, you're like, wait a minute, that sounds like my story. Sounds like my journey, right? And then you begin to share because then now you have that connection
Mm-hmm.
because it's two people who've gone through something similar. You may be 3, 4, 5 years ahead of this person in the journey, but you can at least guide them and say, this is what I went through. Make sure you look out for that. What are some of the obstacles that maybe you faced in becoming the woman that you are today, or maybe some of the people that you help becoming the new version of them? What are some of those obstacles?
Well, so very early on in life, I learned that I was a healer. And I just didn't know how I was going to heal people. I didn't know what the modality or um the type of healer I was. I just knew that I had the ability to heal and I knew that I was on a healing journey. So what happens when you're on a healing journey, um, life ain't easy. Like it's like and you have a lot of ebbs and flows and you're like, yo, I just like can it get easier? Like this one thing comes after another and you're like, yo, I just really want to have some time where it's like even keel and so I think for me, a lot of things happen early on, and I realized, okay, I'm supposed to go through this so that I can eventually help heal other people from these things. So there are some things that just innately come to me. Like as a child, I could hear. I was very clear audience, so I could hear spirit speak to me and give me direction to the point I was saving my life. Like I I saved myself from being kidnapped, just all kinds of different things that I didn't have to experience. And although I've been through a lot, my journey has not been easy. My mother, when I was 3 years old, was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I was the oldest daughter, so I have the oldest daughter syndrome. I was a caregiver. I learned to be vigilant in how I showed up and what I paid attention to. So all of these things was a culmination of me becoming the person that I am. But one of the things I also learned was like later on in life, because I didn't have my first and only child until I was 43. So um, I had a whole lot of time with myself and a whole lot of time. making mistakes and being able to fix them really quickly because it was just me and I didn't have any dependents and nobody was like leaning on me. And so I could take a lot of risk, which I did. And some of them worked out fine, and some of them did not. But what I learned was that, you know, I'm one of those people who I will jump off the ledge because I trust my faith is that great. Like I trust that I'm gonna get the wings to fly or the parachute's gonna come out. And sometimes it's like right before you hit the ground, and I'm like, yo, for real, I really trusted on this. And so those things made they make for great stories, but they also make for great transformation because what you can do is you can look at like, okay, I had to go through this thing or situation or relationship and I've gained all this experience. And the one thing I did not do ever was be a victim. Like when I'm like, I signed up for this, I came into this world, I have this as my story, but it does not define who I am. And I never allow any situation to define me where I stop. And then sometimes they hurt, but I was like, you know what? How can I transmute this energy or this situation to be for my benefit? And once I learned that I could do that, then things, even in my hardest moments where I'm like, I absolutely hate being in this situation because I can't understand it and I can't shift it the way I want it at this moment, I know that there's greater lesson. And when I step back, I can see the whole picture and then I can keep it moving. But it's 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 been a journey where I learned very early on that life is I'm creating it and I'm also figuring out the solutions to it. And then it just makes me a better teacher. And so I've just learned how to transmute energy and learn how to take situations and make them what they need to be so that I can keep it moving. But then I also realize this is the greater part of me being able to teach and to help heal in the process. I
When you
think I answered your question.
You know you did because you gave me some fantastic examples. When you mentioned jump off the ledge, I looked at my bed and I was like, when I was 5 years old, I would jump off of that bed and I knew I had wings. I would hit the ground every time, but I knew I had wings. As an adult at my age now, I'm going to need your help with that just a little bit, okay? Because I need your level of trust. Not that I don't trust the universe and God is good all the time,
All the
but
time.
yeah, I think from 5 to 40, something happened when it came to the wigs there. But I like that you mentioned that you didn't consider yourself a victim, nor did you stay in the victim mentality, which is probably more accurate because I was there for a period of time in my 20s because like you, I was just like, it has to get better. And then 1 week went by, 1 month went by. I'm like, it has to get better. Right? Then I realized it did get better. And I was like, okay, I kind of like this. It's like a new you. And then it got better. Then it got better. And then for me, and I'll ask you this, as my life started to get better, I started to see people and I was like, were they always this way? Or was I
Mm-hmm.
blinded to what I was seeing? Because what I was seeing in the mirror was a totally transformed terrain. And on
Mm-hmm.
the flip side of that, when I was seeing other people, my relationships, my friendships, my job, I started to see them in a different way. It was like the mask had fallen. When you look back on, let's say, let's take it away from you, like the people that you work with, how important is it for them to learn the softness and the change perspective in their life?
Well, I think you don't go I I think you don't get to where you want to be until you can actually appreciate where you are. What I mean by that is like there you don't come to me until you're ready, is what I'm trying to say. So until you get to that point where you like, okay, I don't want to do this no other way. It's like I've tried it my way and it's not working. And I know I need help. Right. And so if you like every journey the hero's journey always comes to a brink where you have a choice and there's a break in the or fork in the road where you have a choice to make. And it's either staying on the course of what's not probably working or shifting and doing something different. And I see a lot of people who are scared to answer a call, and where their life is now shifting and they stay complacent, they continue to do the thing that they know no longer serves them. They drink too much, they want to indulge in vices and all types of things. um but I think that your journey will show you where you're directed to go, and everybody has a choice of if they want to answer it or not. And everybody has a choice of how much work they're willing to do. And then sometimes, depending on, and this is my personal view, depending on what your purpose is in life, that call will keep getting louder until you do answer it. So, yes, you can be, you can come to me and say, hey, I'm ready to answer this call. And then I'm just the guide, right? And I'm here to just answer, help ask the questions that you need to answer so that you can be the person that you need to be or show up the way you need to show up. But I think everybody has to come to this place in life where they're like, what I've been doing is not working anymore. And then the journey kind of unfolds. So like you were saying, there was things that you saw in other people, the mask started falling off. Were they really that person? And I would say that they were a reflection of where you were. And when you began to shift into a different perspective or a different elevated version of yourself, then you started to see how those people were or how they showed up, and it no longer suit you because you were in a different place. So as you elevate, then the people around you, if they no longer elevate, then now you can see where you were. So it's like if you were on level one in a game, right? And then as you level up to level five, and you look back and you see the version of you at level one and the version of everybody else who was at level one, you're like, did I miss something? No, you didn't, because you could only see the version of you and what was projected from that version. So then when you got to the next level, then you look back and you saw, that's I can't even believe I was, hanging out with y'all. I can't believe, but you should, because that's who you were. So they are a reflection of who you are. And so at level one, you were reflecting the same thing that they are giving today. They just haven't leveled up. But then when you level up, you can look back and you can see them, if that makes sense, because you're at a different level. And so, no, they weren't giving you mass. They were showing up just like you were showing up. It wasn't until you did the work, you shifted some things in who you are and you became another version of you. And now you can see the version of you and how you were interacting with other people, because you can see the interaction of other people in their same, I guess, state. So it's interesting because we're constantly shifting, and sometimes we're shifting and vibrating at such a fast level that once we start shifting and going to a different level, we look back and we see people and we see how other people aren't shifting. And that doesn't make them bad, good, or it doesn't make the situation better or worse. It just means that you're now moving at a different frequency and now you can see the differences. And I think that as long as you don't judge that difference, you'll continue to move, and then you'll start attracting other people who are at that level that you are. And as you keep elevating, you're going to constantly see the ebbs and flows between the different frequencies, between the different you know, jumps that you're making in yourself, and the differences between other people. You'll even see, like, if somebody else is elevating higher than you, And you like, dang, that dude changed. Or, why can't we be on the same level? Or, or you only make assessments based off of where you are. And it's important to understand that everybody is shifting just at different levels and at different speeds. And you just acknowledge it differently as you move.
Do you then think, or does, sorry, guilt and shame play a role in that? Because maybe some people would stay in the process of not seeing who they can be then.
Think it does play, it shouldn't. But I think oftentimes, especially let's say you grew up with someone and that was your best friend. Y'all been best friends forever. And then you're shifting and you're starting to see they're kind of complacent. They're not really moving. So yes, sometimes you have like guilt that you have to leave, or I don't know about shame because shame is, on a different level, but guilt because I don't not like you. I'm just not where you are anymore. And so sometimes you want to take people with you who aren't ready for that journey. That's not their path. And oftentimes the guilt comes when we keep trying to press someone to grow up or press someone to shift and change something about them that is not necessarily it's not necessary for them to shift because they're not going where you're going. Um, and I just think sometimes we get into a place where we feel like, okay, and a lot of that it comes from society saying that our shift may be wrong or right or putting like a label on it. Then we come from families that have opinions and they want you to be a certain way, and you may be shifting out of that environment. And so then you feel like, I feel bad because I want more, or I feel bad because I have opportunities that maybe other people don't have. And one thing I learned a long time ago, is one of my early shifts is I end up going to the therapist, and she was like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like literally, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that you've been in a bucket with a bunch of crabs and you figured your way out. And what you did was you have choices. You can either throw them a rope and help them get out, or if you go down and you try to reach and pull them out, they're going to end up pulling you back. So what you did was learn that you didn't want to go back, and you felt bad because you didn't want to go back. But the only resource that you had was to throw them the rope and hope that they use the same techniques that you use to get out. And it doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you a smart person because other people will make you feel guilty that you had to shift or that your life gave you opportunities and you took them versus and you want to get back. And so it versus going back to other people and then trying to be like, oh, let me get on my back and I'll carry you, because that's not your disposition. So what happens is the people around you will say, oh, you wrong, you didn't come back and get us. No, but I threw you the rope. Same thing, right? Because I saw the rope and I got out and I threw it back, and you didn't get out because you wanted me to carry you. And what happens when you start carrying people is they either will step on you and figure out how to get out, or they'll just hold you down. And if you are a person who wants to be persistent or tenacious or just driven, then you get a lot of labels, and people try to keep you in a place that no longer serves you. And so you have to just kind of just be mindful that that's not my label. I'm not going to hold that, and I'm going to move forward. And it's hard oftentimes because you want to love these people, you want to help these people, and you're from this environment or situation or family or whatever. So it becomes very difficult, but you just have to press through because you can only help people when, like, it's the same thing with the empty cup. You can't help people when your cup is empty. You gotta let it rise to the top and overflow. And once it overflows, then everything that comes after that is help. Anything that comes before that is depletion, and so you can't give from that place of depletion.
I knew a woman. She ended up in a relationship, and this was I'm using this as an example to your point, where this person was showing her a different side of her that she didn't think was possible. And to your point, he was pouring in her cup, but unfortunately her cup had a hole in it and it just kept pouring out. So he's exhausting himself. And she began to see, just like how we're talking about, that as she was progressing and becoming softer and figuring out things, she started to see that the people around her, she still loved them, she still cared for them, but they weren't serving her anymore because she knew that they couldn't be along for that journey that she was making. Now, they began to guilt her and say, "Don't leave us. You're not the same person." And maybe you've heard this, because I know I have. Eventually, it became too much pressure. She went back to her old ways. So she ended the relationship and she continued forward. Unfortunately for her, she was now miserable because she knew there's something else out there, something that could make her happier in a different way that maybe these people could no longer do. So for her, I remember her sharing the story with me and someone else. At that point, when she went back to her old ways, she realized maybe I'm not worthy enough for this new
Mhm.
me. And it's heartbreaking to hear because, yes, it is her choice. Yes, it's her decision. We're all adults. But when you see a life that's within your grasp and you turn your back on it to satisfy people that maybe don't have your best interests, it's difficult. Now that I've shared that story with you, what are your thoughts? And do you see people struggling with that?
Absolutely. And it happens way more than one would like to know, right? Um, because when you get the opportunity, it goes back to that crabs in the barrel. Um, nobody wants to stay at the nobody in good with good sense, right? Wants to stay at the bottom and just dwell in unhealthy environments. That's not innately how you want to live, right? And what happens is you see people who are doing something well. And if you don't understand that you have the same capabilities, the same opportunities, maybe not in the same form, but these things come to you just as well as they come to the next person, then you get envy, you get jealousy, you get all these things that will try to pull on someone else. And so when you see one crab that's like, not me. I don't want to do this. I want to get out. And they do. It goes back to that same thing that I was saying that if you go back and try to do it and like help people and pull them out, they will pull you back. So what you have to do is give yourself leverage. And what she did was when we're not, when we haven't gone through the process of truly healing a situation, she had that, I'm gonna go on this just like how I see it, um, of unworthiness. I don't deserve to be here, right? I don't deserve, and then this is things that she hasn't been healed from because if someone can tell you, oh, you better than us, and now I gotta go prove, no, 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 I'm the same. I'm not, right? And I don't have to prove that I am me. When you are truly who you are and you can stand in your purpose and your passion and your drive and yourself, you don't have to prove those things. You just are, right? And I mean, I'll speak for myself. I came from Omaha, Nebraska. I always saw a way out. I always, a little girl, I used to just see myself on a plane, traveling and doing all kinds of different things. And I heard, oh, you think you better than us. Oh, you think you cute. Oh, you think you smart. Yeah, I heard all the things, right? And I have this saying, it's a quote. When you keep your eye on the goal, you can't see the obstacles because you have to remove those things that are hindrances from from any viewpoint, like any vantage point. And so I would just ignore it, right? But there are certain people who they can't because they get guilted into staying. They get guilted into helping more. They get guilted in that Cinderella effect of just like, oh, I can't get past this. Yeah, you're the chosen one, right? So the person came, they helped save you, get you out the situation, but you did not believe. You started believing the naysayers. I don't believe I'm worthy. I don't believe that I should be here. And so when you go back, you experience the same thing, and you're gonna still get that call on you saying, this ain't really what it is. Because I remember I had the experience. I saw that life is grander on this other side, yet I'm now back here. And until you get the strength, the understanding, the aha moment to let you know that, you know what, my worth is not about placement. And environment means everything. And that I cannot help love somebody out of a situation, do more for somebody out of a situation, to give more out of a situation because people have to want it for themselves and they have to be willing to take the rope that I lend them and pull themselves up because I did it too, right? And everybody doesn't do the same thing the same way, but I'm not responsible for other people's happiness. I'm not responsible for helping people get out of situations. I'm responsible for showing up, giving what I can, and it has to be from my overflow. It cannot be from my depletion. I can't help you enough to get out of a situation that I'm empty in. So I have to love myself to know that I can only help you when I've helped myself to the point where anything I give you is my overflow. And that does not mean going back to where you are. That does not mean experiencing your hate, your disposition, your discouragement. It doesn't mean that I have to go there because the best love I can do sometimes is loving you from a distance. And I can send you what you need, and if you don't receive it, then I have to be cool with that. And I think she has to get to that place where she knows that I am worthy. I do need these things, and these things are for me. And who better than I to have them? And regardless of what you say or what you do or who is around me, um, I'm a believer in me. Until you get to that place, you'll stay in places and environments that don't serve you. And environment means everything. Environments can shift your stinking thinking. Environments can do a whole lot. And so sometimes we go back to environments that don't serve us, and then we have to figure out, how do we get out? But when we get out, we have to know that getting out does not mean that we're better. It just means that we want something different, and that's okay. And we have to be okay with that.
Do you see some people stopping that journey and stopping the process of getting out because sometimes for a lot of people it's a lonely journey?
Absolutely. For a long time, I was a lone wolf. Like I traveled alone because I felt like I didn't want to have to be responsible for other people. That was number one. Um, I was tired of saving people and I was just trying to save myself. But more importantly, sometimes you get out of situations and you have to go it alone until you find your tribe. And the thing that you are looking for is looking for you. And once you realize that, and you realize that there are other people who have the same experience as you have, you just got to travel a little and you'll find them. Um, yes, sometimes it's difficult to say, okay, I'm gonna leave this situation. Um, because at first it seems like I'm gonna be the only one, or that I'm just so different that I'll be on an island myself, and you won't, because there are people that think like you, feel like you, experience things like you, and they're here to be on the journey with you. But you have to take the first step sometimes, and that first step can be difficult because it is lonely when you start making shifts that other people, especially from your environment that you grew up with, and that's all everybody knows, and they think you're the anomaly. Like, you so different. It's not that you're so different. There are other people like you. It's just in that environment, you might be the the little odd one on the team. But yeah, it is difficult. But I I would rather be by myself than in a whole bunch of mess with a whole bunch of other people that only see mess, they only continue to have mess, chaos, and all the other things. So it just depends on um I always use this. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
There's some people that I've come across where it is so difficult for them to see that, to your point. When they're ready, that's when someone will appear. And I've seen people where someone will appear and they will reject it because they hope, well, child came today. Well, she'll come again next month. And if she doesn't come, Terrain will come. If Terrain doesn't come, it'll be someone else. And everyone out there, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. The teacher will stop coming at some point, right? We're all getting old. Some of us struggle to get out of bed without back or knee pains or hip pains, right? We're at the point where we want to make sure that when the body is whispering, we don't ignore it to the point where it starts to shout. Because once it starts to shout, there's some things, not everything, but there's some things you can't come back from. Someone shared with me that she ignored it, ignored it, ignored it because she would drown herself in work. And I think a lot of people do this, especially as we get older in age. We ignore what's going around. We say, I'll just work 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, because home isn't safe anymore. And that's probably the worst place to be. If your home isn't safe, something seriously is going on.
Mhm.
So when her fingers started to tingle, her arms went numb, her legs were sore. Eventually, she couldn't get out of bed because she couldn't walk.
Mm.
Now she's trying to reach out to other people who she discarded because she didn't want to do the journey. Because the people she went back to, they're just as broken as unhealthy as she is. So now no one can help anyone. And my heart goes out to people like that because I think in general they probably have good intentions. Maybe they're a little naive, or maybe they're a little arrogant to say that I don't need your help until they hit they hit the wall and they're like, okay, it's time for me to humble myself because life is humbling me right now. Um, the people that you work with, when they're hitting a roadblock, how do we help them to first identify it is that and then overcome it?
Well, when people come to work with me, they tend to already know, like, I'm at that wall. Like, I'm ready for something else. And I'm ready to do the work. And I tell people, if you're not ready to do the work, you probably shouldn't come to me, because I I cannot pick you up and do the work for you. Like, literally, it's your responsibility to do the work for yourself. Um, but you have to be ready. Like, but in the statement it says the student is ready. So if the teacher appears, you're ready to accept that. If you're not ready, you're not going to accept it. I don't care what teacher comes because you're not ready to accept it. You're not at that point where I want something different and I'm willing to do the work. And, I tell people all the time, I have someone in my life that I'm like, they're always complaining. They're in victim mode all the time. And I say, you're only a victim because you choose to be. You know, if you want to be something different, then you will start showing up for yourself. And it doesn't hurt bad enough. It's like the dog that's sitting on the nail, howling, howling, howling. And, the person walks by and says, why is the dog, you know, crying out? It's on the nail. Well, why don't you get him off? He said, because the dog can lift their paw and get off the nail. It just don't hurt bad enough. And so it goes back to people's pain points. So by the time somebody works with me, like I'm hoping you don't get to the point where of no return, where like I can't do this anymore. I need you, right? You should come to me because I want you. So I don't go down that road of needing somebody and I'm ready to make changes and shifts. But if I do have somebody that comes to me, it's like I always ask, what's your why? Because if your why is not big enough, I probably can't help you because your why should be so big, I have no reason to turn back because I want something so different than what I'm experiencing. And I always, your why is important because when you can say why you're doing something and you continue to tell yourself that why, you can't go back because my why is bigger than where I'm coming from. My why is what I see in front of me. My why is why I show up. My why is why I do what I do. It's the purpose of a thing. And when you can define your why, you will continue to show up for yourself. When you like, well, I think I want, what do you mean you think? If you still thinking, you're not ready. And so I'm very clear, like, and it's not that I'm a mean person. I don't want to help you. It's just that I don't have time I have a purpose for my life. And I'm here to help people who want to be helped. And if you're not ready to understand that your why is so big and that not only is it so big for you, it's so big for the people that you're going to be able to help because somebody is in the thresholds waiting for you to get your stuff together and you're attached to somebody else, that if you miss your mark, you delay somebody else. I want you to understand that your why is so big that you are hindering the next person who is waiting for you to get it together. And I think that's the most important thing because we get in these silos where we think it's just about us and our problems. No, you got to solve your problem so that you can help solve the next problem because somebody else is waiting for you to get it together. They're waiting for you because your life is tied to somebody else's life. And this is bigger than you. It's not just you showing up doing something for you and your family. No, it's legacy work. I'm doing this because the next sister that I need to hand the baton to is waiting for me to show up so she can run and get to her mark. And when we start looking at things like that, and we get an understanding, it's not just about me and mine. It's about the next level. It's about the next individual who's waiting for me. It's about somebody needs to hear my story so they can shift. It's about somebody understanding that it's not just them in this situation because I went through something so you don't have to go through it. That's that's the why I need you to stand up to. And that's what shifts people, I think.
A why so big that it not only saves your world, but it saves the world of other people around you.
Absolutely.
So they come to you and they're ready to do that work. And that's good to know because, to your point, there's some people that they think they're ready, but then when you ask them the question, they're like, I don't know. Like, okay, if you don't know, when you find out, call somebody.
All right. I can't wait for you because there's somebody that I need to hand this baton to.
So let's say if I were to come to you now, let's take me as an example. What are some of the behaviors that I would exhibit that would make you understand that I'm ready.
First of all, you would show up for yourself, not for me. Show up for yourself. Like you would be prompts, you'd be ready, you'd be asking the right questions. Because see, I'm a coach. My I don't give you the answers, you already have them. I just help you answer the questions that pull them out, right? I'm not here to do your work. I'm just here to be your sounding board because you have everything in you already to answer the call. But sometimes we need people who will hold us accountable. We need somebody that will ask the right questions to pull it out of you to say, okay, so but what if you saw it this way? And then that aha moment, that's what a coach does, right? So I just need you to show up for yourself. I need you to show up on time. I need you to do the homework. So when I ask you the questions, then you need to go back and reflect on them and then answer them for yourself. Not for me. I'm not here for you to give me. eh, You know, I had a couple clients early on who would you just answered because you thought that was what I needed. I need. I didn't come to you and pay you to help me get out of a ditch. You came to me asking me to shift something in your life. And at this junction, I do a lot of soul alignment. So I'm looking at who you are, what you're here to do. And I'm looking at your charts in astrology and being like, okay, this is clearly what it say, right? But right now your path is directed somewhere else. So if you want things to get easier, you're gonna have to shift so that you can be aligned with what you came to do. See, you've been aligned with what your mother wanted you to do, what your family thought you should do, aligned with what society thought you should do. Like you should grow up and do these things, and you did those things, and it worked for a while because you believed that that's what you were supposed to do. But now life ain't working like you want it to work because that's not who you are, and that's not working anymore because you on a different frequency. And for your life to be aligned and for you to show up and be the best version of yourself, you have to do something different. So you telling me I did these things to get approved. I'm not giving out approval. Like I'm not here to check boxes and say you did well. That was that other version of you. Your mother did that for you. That's not my job. My job is to call you on your and say that's BS. Why are you doing that? How is that helping you? Did you feel great when you did that? What can you do that's going to help you feel great about what you're doing? If you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result, that is the definition of insanity, right? That's not, we're not insane, right? So let's show up and do something different. So I'm here to call you on your stuff. I'm here to help you get aligned with where you're supposed to be going. But I can't do that if you're not willing to tell the truth. So you need to show up for yourself, tell the truth, and get ready to release some things. And sometimes that's the hardest part of the journey, is because we want to hold on to the things that make us comfortable, but they're not serving us well. So if you're ready to work and ready to do the work, I'm going to call you on and I'm going to hold you accountable because that's why you came to me. Because you said that you were ready to move from where you currently are to where you desire to be. And for that to happen, some things are going to shift. And I have to hold you accountable. I am not your mother. I'm not God. I'm I'm just here to be a reflection of where you want to go. And for that to happen, you have to trust the process, but you also have to do the work. And if you say you're ready, that means you have to get ready and do the work. And it shouldn't be for show because I can't judge you. You know the work that you want to do. You know how you want to show up in the world. And for that to happen, you have to be accountable to yourself. And I think a lot of times people have been shucking and driving so long that they don't even know what that is for themselves. And that is where the issue comes. But once we get through that, you're you're good because you already know who you are and you know what you're supposed to do. It's just a lot of times you don't want to show up to do that because it requires work.
In the context of showing up for yourself, which one do you think is more impactful, believing the truth or speaking the truth?
I think you first have to believe it because you can speak it all day and nothing shifts because we're good with words. And it's just like it's like an alcoholic telling, "Oh no, I ain't gonna have no drink," and they get by themselves and they drinking. Tell you whatever they want you to hear because it sounds good to them and it sounds good to you. But when you believe, the believing is the first part. You believe, okay, I need a shift. It's the knowing though, because see, beliefs can be shifted. When you know something, there's no doubt in your mind. I got this. I'm going to do this. But you first have to believe it though. You have to believe, okay, I can do this. And the shift happens when you know it to be true. Um, Anybody can change a belief because beliefs can be disproven all the time.
I see some people struggling with that because, to your point, they may just tell you what you want to hear because that's what they told their mother, their father, their family, their friends, their partners. Why should I tell them what I really think when I know that it's easier for me to just be accepted and tell them what they want to hear? That shift that you spoke about, I know everyone's journey is different. Some may take a little bit longer, some may take a little bit shorter. Do you see some people getting frustrated with how long the journey is for them?
Oh, absolutely. Um, Hell, I got frustrated. Like I would be like, why? Why am I keep repeat? But until the student is ready, the teacher won't appear, right? And sometimes there are things on your journey that you thought you learned or you accepted about yourself, and you realize, okay, the more I go on a journey, the more I continue to walk this path, I realize there are things I learned, there are things that I mastered, but then there are things that I haven't yet mastered and I still need to attend to. I liken it to education, right? So you may come in and you're on whatever grade level and you do the homework, do all the things, you get to the test, you pass it, right? Go to the next level, you do same thing, watch, rinse, repeat. But then there might be a point where gets too hard or it gets harder and you don't really get the concept. So then you have to come back and repeat it, right? And same thing in life. You may be going through this process and you've mastered all these things, and then you get this test out and you like, it seemed like I'm in this loop and I'm not getting out the loop because you haven't mastered it yet. So that you can go to the next level. And so it will continue to stay with you until you master it. But sometimes it's that you're so close to the ending of that you get impatient, that you doubt yourself, you get tired, you get weary. And it's really about staying the course. It's really about continuing to show up, continue to do what you know that is working, and believe and trust in yourself, right? But sometimes we get to that point where we like, okay, I'm just tired. It's easier to give up. And that's not the time to give up because you're almost on the brink of breakthrough, and yet you are getting weary and tired. Just you can pause. I tell you, don't quit. Pause, but don't quit because you don't want to start all the way back over because then everything you've done seems like it's in vain. It's not. But just keep staying the course and all will be well. And then it's like when you stop, you let go and let God, that's the time where everything shifts for you because you you were right there on the brink of breakthrough anyways. It's just sometimes you just need to stop and hold tight and try not to do anything and just allow the next phase to come. And then that's when you walk through and you're like, okay, I'm on to the next thing. But I've mastered everything that I've this 10 years I've been sitting here waiting for all these things to come and nothing was showing up. It's okay because this is the other thing. Time is an illusion. And we get so caught up in what everybody says time is for us. And oh, this one day took, you know, 40 years. It does not. Um, and we can't compare ourselves amongst ourselves because everybody's journey is different. And what seems like is easy for one person may be very difficult for another person because that's not what you came to learn. That was not what your purpose was. And you're comparing yourself amongst somebody else's purpose, and your purpose may be much bigger than theirs. And not to say you're much bigger in comparison to other people, but your journey is different and it's based off what you came here to do. So sometimes what you came to do may be way bigger than the next person. You're comparing, and yes, they got that easy. Yet, but they may not even last. That person may, I hate to be morbid, they may their life expand might only be 30 years, right? And then you see that they pass away. So they had to get that out. They had to come here and get their, they had to be on their journey and complete what they needed to complete because their life wasn't going to last that long, right? Or you may have something that's so big, it takes you learning things over and over so that you can help the next person. Because if you didn't get it, how could you be proficient in helping someone else to get it later on in life? And once you get it, you got it. You ain't got to worry about losing it. So I think sometimes we get anxious, impatient, especially when we start believing that the numbers matter, the followers matter, the likes matter, the outside influences matter, and people are judging you by time. Like, and I'll just liken this to when I was younger, and people will always be like, "You don't have no kids? No, something wrong with you?" And no, uh, you ain't got no man. All the questions that them old women would ask you as if something was wrong or broken in you. And at first, I would be like, no, ain't nothing wrong with me, and I had an attitude and I was like, and I was confident in myself, like, no, and then, you get to 30 and you like, okay. And so they was like, something wrong. No, I didn't have that spunk with the answer, but I stayed the course, right? And so when it came time and I was 40 something and I had a child and, people would, oh, well, it took you so long. Well, see, I'm not on your time. And I had a child when I was ready. And I had a child when the universe said it was right for me. And I was in the best position, you know. So same thing. But it came when it came. And I knew that it would come. And there were times that I was weary and those same questions were coming at the same speed. And yet my disposition may have been different with how I answered, but I still stayed the course. And I think that it's the same thing when you have something that is pressed upon you to do in life. You have to stay the course.
I see a lot of people projecting their timelines onto other people, and then they would try to like guilt or shame them into it. To your point, right? Is something wrong with you? Like, why don't you have kids? I've seen some people even question their sexuality at that point, right? Like they're just projecting onto because there isn't a 90-day booty blaster for your journey, right? This is some may even take 90 years to get to that point. And it's unfortunate that some people try to force the issue and think to themselves, "Oh, maybe I am taking this too long," and then they'll try to force it, and then something unfortunate may happen. Maybe they'll have a setback that is so devastating to them that they fall off, or maybe they'll keep to themselves and they develop habits that isn't beneficial to what they're going through. What kind of impacts do you see some of these setbacks or some of these projections having on someone's journey when they're working with you?
It just depends on the individual. Um, we all have setbacks. We all have points where we don't believe in ourselves. I don't care how confident you are. There are points where you like, okay, did I get this wrong? Am I following the right thing? I thought that this was the thing I was supposed to be doing. And all I can say is that, it happens to the best of us, but don't allow your setback to set you up where you can't come back. Because sometimes the setback is to set up for you to come back, but sometimes you can get in a rut and be like, I just give up. I'm not gonna pursue that no more. And that could be the worst thing. Then 10 years goes by and but you can't let it get out of you. Can't let it go. And you realize 10 years went by and that work that you could have been doing towards that, you let all that time lapse. But the one thing I tell people all the time is you don't compare yourself to somebody else because your journey is for you. The people that are supposed to be here for you will show up for you. But it all comes down to when the student is ready. So are you ready for these people to show up? Because in life, we don't have time for you to get ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So when you are constantly working towards the thing that you are supposed to do, and the people show up, you don't have to be like, oh, well, hold on, let me let me figure this out. No, because the baton needs to be passed. And you holding on to the baton because you're not ready. So why should somebody empower you to do something that you're not ready to do? You have to constantly be working towards this. And it does become daunting when you're like, I've been doing this time and time and time and time again, and it's not working. But it is. And we get so caught up in the process and we get caught up in what people think and we get caught up in how much time is going by when in fact you are right where you're supposed to be at every given moment. And the only thing that you are required to do is stay the course. Don't give up because you looking, first of all, that ain't your business. Why you looking over here? It ain't your business. You ain't supposed to be over here in these people' business, talking about what they doing, how they doing it, and comparing yourself. And that's the worst thing about social media at this point in life. Because 15 years ago, you really couldn't compare yourself with all these other people and be like, oh, they got, and half of it ain't true. So, so you're comparing yourself to a lie when they told you what they wanted you to hear because it felt good, sounded good, and as my friend always said, if you can trick them, you can beat them, right? So if somebody can tell you the story to make you disbelieve what you already know to be true, when you know your journey, right? Be confident in that journey because it's for you. What's for you is for you. It's not for somebody else, and you don't have to worry about what they got because it's not yours anyways. What meant for you. So your journey will be fine. Be okay with it. Let's do this work and we're gonna move forward.
I want to ask you one final question before I let you go, Child, in regards to what you just shared, but I'm going to give you three wishes, okay? You can wish for everything but more money and, of course, more wishes. What are three things you wish people knew about what is meant for them and why?
What do I wish that people knew what was for them and why? So what I wish people knew is that time doesn't mean anything and that you will arrive and have everything in the right time when you are ready. What I wish that people knew was that you are more powerful than your doubts, especially when you don't believe them. I wish that people understood that what is for them is for them and that time has no relevance on what is going to be for you because it doesn't change